So, wait a minute. This is my favourite recipe. I'm going to make some raw vegan tacos. To start with, take an amount of walnuts, put them in a blender and blend them up until they're sort of rough, but not a butter, so they're still quite grainy. Like that. Getting dizzy. Next, smash up some garlic. Oh, set that to one side. Smash up some garlic. And then you will pop that into a blender with a decent amount of nutritional yeast, some paprika, and a fair bit of cumin. Next, you'll add some chilies and also some sun-dried tomatoes, which I've soaked in water. You should definitely soak them in water, so that they blend properly, and you're kind of going for this really sort of gloopy. The idea of this is to make sort of a sun-dried tomato walnutty meat type filling for the taco. So you want something that's quite sort of, it should, the wet part should be quite gloopy, and then you'll add that later to the walnuts. So I'll add a bit of the water that I've soaked them in as well. Blend those up, and then I will add the gloopiness to the walnuts. And then, no longer blending them because we want to keep the rough consistency, I'll just combine those until we get this sort of paste. Should be that kind of wet texture. Okay. We'll make some guacamole to go with this, so I'm just going to chop up, well, I'm going to mash up an avocado. It's looking good. And remove the stone. I'll mash up this avocado with some lime juice. I think I added a bit of lemon as well, just because I had some lemons in. But add some lime, and I'll also add a bit of garlic to the to the guacamole mix. And it's a good idea to add some basil too if you've got some to hand, but I don't think I added any this time. Next, I'll just make a salsa by chopping up some onion, tomatoes, garlic, and I've put some mango in there too. And then I'm just going to build up the tacos quite simply by dolloping on bits of this walnut tomatoey meat. Now, I've not added any salt to the filling here because the sun-dried tomatoes are quite salty, so I've opted for a dried sun-dried tomato. Well, aren't they all dried? Yes, but this one hasn't been sitting in oil, so it's kind of, they come in in a dried form, and they're quite salty anyway. I think that's part of how they're preserved. So then I will soak them in water so that they're blendable, but the water itself absorbs a lot of the salt, which I've then used to sort of to get it into that pasty consistency. So they are salty enough without adding any extra salt, and it's a good idea to squeeze a bit of fresh citrus all over this just to balance that and keep it fresh. It honestly, genuinely is the best meal. I know that sometimes people don't believe me because it seems like a really simple, and you kind of expect that it's not going to be as delicious, but it's genuinely the most satisfying, tasty meal I've ever had, and I'm not joking. So yep, just pile on some guacamole and the salsa. If you can't be bothered to portion it out, I've just poured it all over the top. And then I've just crunched up some cashew nuts as well, because for some reason I think cashews just add a slightly cheesiness to anything. You just sort of get that, it's not cheese obviously, but it just gives you that quality, that sort of creamy, crunchy, dried, hard cheese quality. And I've just dropped some jalapenos on there because that's what this meal's definitely calling for. So very fresh, very simple.